right, so the date has been set by the IEBC, October 17th, but yet a lot of questions abound out of this. I have with me in studio Sekou Owino. He's the Nation Media Group lawyer. We'll be speaking to Abubakar Yusuf, a lawyer in Mombasa, a bit later on. But Sekou, let me first bring this to you. The IEBC says just 2 candidates are allowed to participate in this election. They say this is based on the 2013 presidential petition ruling. What do you make of that? Because there's so many questions as to why just the 2.
Okay. First, I think the IEBC probably, I see it differently from the way they're talking about it. I would understand their problem, but there seems to be an issue about their reliance on the 2013 ruling. The 2013 ruling, as much as they were both petitions, the issues at stake and which the court determined are actually different things. In this particular one, the question was that an election did not occur at all and therefore it was invalid. It was so improperly done. We don't have the reasons for it, but at least from the judge's determination, that you can determine. The 2013 election petition, the issue was the petitioners at that point tried to say that, look, the winner of then President Uhuru Kenyatta had not attained the 50+1 threshold. So the arguments were different. Right. Okay. So for them to go and say that they're relying on the 2013 decision would probably be problematic, especially since there appears to be quite a departure in the Supreme Court's thinking about elections, which may actually say that they'll be overruling quite a number of things that they were decided in 2013. So that's the first problem. But 2, even if you read Article 140 under which an election is invalidated, 140 reads and says that in the event that the court decides that an election is invalid, it actually goes ahead to say a fresh election shall be held. Okay. So the operative word here being fresh, there is no basis on which then you can then say that a fresh election only means the 2 top candidates. On what basis? My reading of it would be that a sensible reading of it would be, in my view, that the candidates who are candidates at that particular time go through another election again. And even then, if you were to challenge them, because why would you then select the top 2 candidates? Or people, supposedly, the persons we supposedly think are the top 2 candidates, when the Supreme Court seems to be saying that, look, the 2017 election presidential election was so shambolic that the numbers do not mean anything. So on what basis would you decide that these are the 2 people? This IEBC seems to be sending us towards thinking where we are having a rerun. A rerun is a situation where an election is done, it is held to be proper, but the court then holds that whoever was declared the winner did not attain the 50+1, what we often call it. So then the top 2 candidates run. That is not the case here. Okay.
There's also the other word of the runoff also being floated out in this. What is the runoff then, if this is not?
A runoff actually is where, yes, a runoff is actually a rerun, is technically speaking, but between the top 2 candidates.
Gotcha. Okay.
A runoff is, we had several candidates, but now we are going into a second stage because none of them achieved the threshold. So now we have the top 2 under that election. But that would only happen if the election is otherwise held to have been valid. So then we say the top 2 go ahead to run. That is not the case here.
Okay. Let me bring in Abubakar Yusuf, a lawyer in Mombasa, in on this conversation. Abubakar, of course, now we know that the date has been set by the IEBC. What do you make of their reasoning to just have the top 2 candidates participate in that fresh election?
Yeah, I think it is misinterpretation of the Constitution, because the Constitution contemplates several situations where a fresh election is called. There are the situations under Article 138 where, for instance, where the president-elect does not garner the 50+1%, or does not garner the 25% in more than half of the counties. Then in such a situation, an election will be called between the 2 candidates with the most votes. But under Article 140, this is a fresh election called after the nullification by the Supreme Court. What it means then in these two different situations is that in the first situation contemplated under Article 138 is not the entire election has been nullified. So this is why you go for a repeat election with the two candidates with the most votes. But under Article 140, this is where the entire election has been nullified, and a fresh election must be conducted. And in such a situation, then all the candidates will be free to contest.
Okay,
so that is the reading of the different situations under which the Constitution contemplates a fresh election.
Okay, so does this open up the door for fresh nominations as well, that new entrants can also enter the race?
Yeah, in fact, an election has a beginning. The beginning of an election is a nomination. So one interpretation is that it opens up the door for even those people who did not contest on the 8th of August 2017. If they have an interest to contest, they could do so. But the other interpretation is that those who were in the ballot on the 8th of August 2017 then should be in the ballot if they choose to be. But in my view, it is afresh, so there should be fresh nominations, include all those who want to contest so long as they qualify for the elections for the president.
Okay, and Sekou, because now with that idea of fresh nominations, say for instance, Raila doesn't necessarily have to be the flag bearer for NASA in this case.
Actually,
that's a dangerous kind of thought.
That's a possibility, because as he said, and I agree with him, the word fresh is the operative word in Article 140, in my view. Fresh elections, basically meaning we just hold elections afresh, which is a new thing. It's a new election we're holding. So I don't see anything there that would tell us to exclude any person who's qualified who wants to, and I don't see anything that compels those who contested the last time to whatever. There are people who conceded and may say, I do not wish to run again. I think President Uhuru Kenyatta won. So they don't have to be on the ballot again.
Right.
And by the same token, if it's fresh, then somebody can decide, the NASA candidates might decide, for example, just to give an example, that, okay, look, we'll have somebody else among us principals contest on behalf of NASA. I do not see how anybody could stop it under Article 140.
And it's interesting because both of you are saying the same thing. The fact that the Constitution supersedes any other law or any other document, which now the IEBC is saying it's the ruling or the judgment from the 2013 petition. What if the 2017 petition says something different? Yes,
which is why I agree that there's a sense in which we are all walking on thin ice here, because we are yet to see the reasoning of the judges in the majority in this decision of 2017. They may tell us quite a few things. I actually suspect that probably upon careful reading of that judgment, they may be giving the IEBC some operational guidelines on how to go about this. Because let's be honest, the 2017 petition was really about the minor KI decision of the Court of Appeal. That did we comply with it? So I think the judges here may want to affirm it or bolster it a little bit more with some operational guidelines and say, go ahead and do a fresh election. This and this and this and this is what you must do. Yeah. This is what we thought you did that was wrong or was a misstep. So go ahead and do it this way. So in that sense, I agree. We may have to wait until the 21 days, okay, we are 4 or 5 days since less, and see exactly what the judges want a proper election to be.
Right. And on that note, Abubakar, do you feel the IEBC spoke too soon, moved too fast, or based their decision to set the date on something that could be considered null and void if the new ruling comes out and is superseded by the Constitution?
Yeah, I think what IBC is trying to do is trying to, interpret the situation to suit its own preparedness. I think if we are to have fresh elections in the manner that we have described, that means ABC will have a lot. They will have to advertise, they will have to verify the qualifications of the candidates afresh. That will take time. They will have to print the ballot afresh. That will take time, and it may affect the 60 days window that were given by the Constitution as well as the Supreme Court. So I think they're trying to be smart by preparing the citizens that it is the two candidates who participated in the petition, the presidential petition. I think that could be the reason why IBC are doing so, but I believe they know exactly what it means to have a fresh elections.
Okay, and Sekou, let's bring in Ekuru Okot. Yesterday he said he's going to move to court to be included in this new presidential election. Now, some are saying that he has no grounds to do that based on the fact that he conceded defeat.
I think we need to be a little clear about what we're talking about. Even if he conceded, let's even take that he conceded. He conceded at the time thinking that an election was properly held. The court has since held this was not even an election and ordered a fresh one. So you cannot stop him by telling him that because you conceded, you have no reason to run. Okay. And I think we need to be clear that mere concession of an election does not prevent you in law from even contesting that election by yourself. You can concede as a candidate and say, okay, I've conceded, go ahead, but it doesn't prevent you from petitioning to challenge that decision. I don't see that a mere concession speech is of any legal significance, to just put it. It might be good manners, it might be a way of rallying the people together and try to put the election behind you, but it doesn't prevent any person from subsequently challenging, and it would not be a defense to anybody to come and say that, look, you conceded, so this petition should be thrown out on that ground.
Okay.
So the same should apply to Ekuru. Just because he may have conceded, he actually went to, and then the judges would have stopped him because he actually joined as an interested party and presented some evidence and made some arguments challenging that. And nobody seemed to have raised it that, by the way, you conceded, so you have no reason to be here. So it's neither here nor there. Okay.
And Abu Bakr, because he argued that as per the 2013 petition, the nature of that petition will then determine how the fresh elections will be carried out. Do you agree with his reasoning, with his thinking?
Yeah, my reading of the 2013 petition, there was no indication whatsoever to give directions as to how fresh elections after nullification by the Supreme Court is to be conducted. So the 2013 could not be a good reference because it is silent on that direction. But what I read from the law, the interpretation of the Constitution, the implication of the Constitution, is that a fresh election must be conducted. And a fresh election, as the Supreme Court indicated, Chief Justice Maraga said it is not an event, it is a process. And that process has a beginning and has an end. And the beginning is the nomination. So when there is a fresh election, we have to start that process afresh from the beginning. So there should be nomination, there should be advertisement, there should be verification of the candidates, there should be reprinting of the ballot papers, and many other things to happen until the declaration of the results. So that is exactly what it means by a fresh elections. The 2013 judgment does not give a proper guidance on that aspect.
Now, what if, because now the IEBC is placing this whole fresh election on the 2013 petition, the Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice, says that the next election needs to be carried out in strict compliance with the Constitution. They don't seem to be doing that, especially with how they are initially planning this fresh presidential election.
Yeah, I would understand them. I want to be fair to them. I mean, 60 days is quite a short period. All they've been told is you have 60 days to carry out a fresh election. And the court is yet to give them, as we say, this judgment that everybody's waiting on, the details. I think that's where the rubber will meet the road. So I guess they're trying to operate by flying blind in some respects, trying to second guess based on the arguments made in court, and to the extent that they can read and put flesh into the determination of the majority decision. So I would understand that they may do certain things, probably in good faith, trying to meet the strict time deadlines and every other thing that is surrounding it. And they may be caught off guard in certain things. So I would understand it. Maybe the thing to say is that we really need to have this decision come out, this judgment in full come out, so that they can study it and they can see what they need to do and place the beacons where they need to place them so that we move.
Okay. And Abubakar, before I let you go, what does this mean now constitutionally, at least for this fresh election, if not everything is adhered to by the Constitution?
What it means is that IBC have to repeat the process, and they have to go step by step. And you know, they have a challenge of the time frame within which to do certain things. In fact, I was surprised when they declared the 17th of October as the date of the elections. They ought to have bought some time to enable them prepare adequately and prepare accurately for this fresh election. So in my view, they have to repeat that process meticulously, and they must ensure that everything goes as per the book. Otherwise, they risk plunging this country into uncertainty and a constitutional crisis.
All right. Thank you, Abubakar Yusuf in Mombasa. Thank you, Sekou Owino, for helping us make a bit more sense of this. Of course, a lot of questions will be coming up out of this. We still have a couple of weeks to go before Election Day, as we'll be preparing as the media to cover